Soapbox.
It's your show, Vulcan. Come on, man.
Welcome to the Vulcan Soapbox. Please like and subscribe. Welcome to the Vulcan Soapbox. This podcast is dedicated to the principles of logic and teach you how to reason at the highest level. I am Enosh, and I'm with my fellas, my guys, man. What's going on, fellas?
What's the deal, good people?
What up, though?
You good over there,
Yes, sir. All right.
Definitely have to get this out and editing.
Go ahead. Give y'all introductions or anything.
What up, good people?
Oh,
Oh, that's it. All right. So,
pretty nice, man. You know, I'm just here to get my shots up.
Yes, sir.
all right. Let's get into the topics today, man. First one, I know in the news. Hey, yo, I was gonna play this video with Chris Paul that got traded, but I don't
No
wanna play
intro?
this. I can't play that video. Oh, the intro for what?
Your intro.
Yeah, I ain't try. I'm not following, man. What's up?
Don't worry about it. Come on.
Just watch the last show when you get a chance. Or the show before that.
All right.
And then the one before that one, too.
Yeah, just watch the first 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 1 minute.
All right. We'll take your advice on that. Yeah, I was going to play that one, but that one got ESPN, so let's go to this one. All right, so black man acquitted of stabbing a white man by Portland jury after the victim said the N-word following the attack. Get y'all thoughts on this. What y'all think about this?
Cool. It's a good. You got acquitted because the guy said
Yeah, he
the
said the
N-word?
N-word. Yeah, he said
And
the
that's why
N-word.
they acquitted him?
Yeah. So fortunately, so the guy called him the N-word before he had attacked him. He stabbed him in the arm. So that's why they acquitted him, because before he stabbed him, the white guy called him the N-word.
Oh, I don't personally agree with it, but I'm not mad at it. I think racial epithets and different things of that nature, harsh language or violent language is being considered like violence in recent memory. In some instances, using those type of inflammatory or incendiary words or language um, is being seen as like an act of violence. So I don't agree. It is just words. He didn't have to react, and he put his hands on him. So I don't know if it was I don't think it was a lateral reaction. Definitely an escalation with force, but who's to say?
Yeah, we've discussed something similar to this before about freedom of speech and using the N-word and whether people are within their rights or justified, however you want to say it, to put their hands on somebody who is using the N-word. So this one, I think, is the N-word was after, I guess, what the recording saying. I haven't looked into it at all. I don't know who.
Well, I think that's what it reads on the actual
It's afterwards, right?
story that Eno's put up. Yeah, it definitely says after.
But I think I couldn't tell because I didn't see the article. I didn't know if it was saying that all they caught on camera or audio was he said the N word. I don't know if the person who did this the atrocity is saying who murdered the person or stabbed the person is saying that they did it before. I don't know the context of it all the way.
Did you have any additional context on the story or?
Hey, sorry about that, fellas. I was mute. I'm trying to pull up the actual link from New York Post. So just give me a few minutes, y'all. Pull this.
Sure thing.
All right. Just give me a few minutes.
Take as much time as you need. You got to edit it.
All right. Can y'all see that now?
Yes, sir.
That's big enough?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay.
I might call somebody N-word if they stab me. I'm gonna be real with y'all. I don't care what color they are.
I'm worse than that.
I don't care. I don't care what color they are. They get called the N-word if they stab me.
This nigga stabbed me.
If I get scratched, I might call somebody the N-word. Let's be for real.
He's angry. He's Asian. I don't care.
Come on now. We know black people call everybody that word anyway.
Where is it at? What city or state is this in?
Yeah, it says, if you can see, it says a Portland, Oregon jury has cleared a black man of assault.
We can't see the words, just so you know. Yeah, it's super small.
Really? Okay.
Illegible, if you will.
All right. There we go. So.
There we go. Just cleared a black man of assault charges for stabbing a white man after.
Oh, snap.
The victim said the N-word after the attack.
That's better. All right, there we go. All right.
So it kind of contradicts itself, like in this story. After it was revealed that the victim said the N-word after the attack, I think this is a typo. There's punctuation missing. Like after the attack, it was revealed that the N-word was used. But this looks like whoever wrote this needs to be fired. Because if you look at the last sentence, Edwards admitted to stabbing Howard Jr., but claimed it was in self-defense after the victim used racial slurs. So I think the victim used those racial slurs before the stabbing. And the headline is poorly written. Maybe on purpose.
Let me scroll down.
Word like
both men are homeless and have lengthy rap sheets.
Yeah.
We're putting homeless people in the news. Come on. Come on. This is crazy, Portland, Oregon. Oh, wilding out. And put it in the paper? Outlandish. Homeless people are people too. I don't want to see them in the news.
I mean, there are more people probably than anybody else because they're probably living more like most people throughout human history have lived.
No.
No, he said no.
So. No. Maybe the people who are homeless by choice and just want to be nomads.
I'll stay on this as long as I want to. I'm just enjoying the show.
A good amount of the homeless population is homeless because of some sort of addiction or mental instability.
All right. Yeah. All right. So
disrespectful.
All right. Let's go ahead. Let's get into the next topic. Like I said, we had a video for this. Fresh, you sent me this earlier. Let me just get to this topic. 20-year-old veteran point guard Chris Paul was dismissed from the LA Clippers at 3 a.m. during a road trip travel and sent home. His Clippers career is officially over. Go ahead. You can take the lead on this, Fresh.
Yeah, man, they were talking about kind of issues between CP3 and the coaching staff. Um, in particular, Ty Lue, who's the head coach.
Mm.
Um, Obviously, what they said, there's a whole bunch of stories, kind of hearsay, if you will, around the league for people who know him and who know Coach Lue and kind of know his personality. And whatever the head bump was on this particular issue, they're trying to paint it as if as if it was serious enough to cut Chris Paul, who might be arguably the greatest Clipper of all time, who brought the most exciting and most profitable and probably most successful overall era of basketball to the Los Angeles Clippers.
Okay, but don't say to LA.
Man, calm down. If I were to say that, then we should just mute my mic. I don't know nothing about basketball.
Yeah.
All right, I know Clippers are the little bros, but they never had that type of energy surrounding them before Lob City. And to be honest with you, they didn't have it after Lob City.
Yeah, we thought there was gonna be some hype when Kawhi went over there, but he couldn't stay healthy long enough.
He didn't stay healthy. I think Kawhi is healthy at least 50% of the time that he says he's not healthy. I don't care what nobody says. Kawhi, he's the worst superstar. He won a chip and was like, all right, my work's done. I'm gonna just do what I want.
He won 2 chips.
Yeah, they said when he was with San Antonio, they did some training with him, and they seen that he had some issues with his knee, and that's why they traded him to Toronto because they knew it was coming. That was the I forgot what player I heard say that.
No,
They
that's
knew
Pat,
that.
though.
Nah, that's not what happened.
That's what they
That's
said.
definitely not what happened.
Nah, that's definitely not what
Yeah,
happened.
that's what they said for the internet, for the public,
Yeah.
but that's definitely not what happened.
How long was he on?
Real ones know what it is.
Yeah.
Let the audience know. How long was he on?
Kawhi Leonard wanted some things. He's on Toronto for 1 year. We traded him to Toronto. He won the chip and then left the next year. I mean, yeah, that's about as mic drop as you can get. Well, he hasn't been injured the whole time, but he just hasn't. Him healthy hasn't contributed what you draft a player like Kawhi Leonard for, like what you pay him for. You pay him to basically, if we're being 100% honest, you pay him to even out the odds versus the Lakers, right? You trying to become big bro. Y'all got LeBron, we got Kawhi. Kawhi ain't been on the court, man. So they're gonna remain little bro. And then really the next player that could get them there was Chris Paul, not necessarily on talent, but Chris Paul has made every team, and you can go by the statistics. He's made every team that he's been on better by being there with his leadership. He's a floor general, and on top of that, you know what I'm saying, he can get you a dub pretty much anytime he wants, even in late stages.
But he hasn't got anybody to ring though.
You're right, but I think a ring takes a lot of stuff. I wouldn't blame him. I wouldn't blame him for not getting a ring because you got to look at the teams he's been on, and then look at the teams that win rings, how they're built. Chris Paul ain't never been on nothing like that. He was gonna go to the Lakers, but you know, the commissioner nipped that right in the bud. CP3 with Kobe can't do it. And I, as a Spurs fan, for one, am glad that he nipped it in the bud.
There's some bias coming out, man. That's what it is.
Ain't no bias. Well, it is bias, but it's clear bias. I don't want Kobe to win another chip. Get at the expense of my Spurs in some form or fashion. I can't have it.
Yeah, I was listening to Chris. No, what was his name? Chris played for Boston. Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce. Yeah, and I know he was more upset. Like, this is last year. Why would they trade this guy this last year? They should just let this guy finish the year out. That was the critique he had of the coach. Pretty much just did him dirty. You know, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think you got to look at the fact that Eagles are probably involved here. And Chris Paul, again, from what we hear about him in the league, there's a lot of people who don't care for his style of leadership, if you will, or his style of interaction. They
Yep.
just can't deny his talent and his impact. But in defense of the other side, i.e., the coaching staff or the organization,
The GM.
if Chris Paul was insisting on being a disruption, and I'm not saying that he was, but I'm saying, if you're just going to insist on being a disruption, then we can't have you. But I just don't see Chris Paul doing that, like being rambunctious enough to really upset the actual like team. He may have upset a person or two, right? I'm sure he pissed off Coach Lou, but like we
Yeah,
can't
I
function
figured him and
through
Lou would.
here.
I figured him and Lou would get into it.
Yeah, because Ty Lue think he a real coach. I won a championship. No, you were the coach of the team when LeBron won a championship. Stop that. I can't stand people like that, bro.
Oh
Plus, they're
man.
just really close in age. I mean, Ty Lue is not even 50 yet, so that's going to be a problem.
And if Chris Paul is a real dirtbag, he mentioned Ty Lue's career or lack thereof. He got
A
stepped
lot of
over
people
by
respect him. I know
about
his best friend, like Chauncey Billups, is Ty Lue's best friend. I think, and I know like for a lot of them, that's like you said, like a lot of people don't like Chris Paul, so that's one of the things. But then the other side of it is Ty Lue was a much lower tier point guard, but Allen Iverson does speak highly of Ty Lue.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Ty Lue's
he
not a bad guy.
knows the game. But
Yeah,
Chris Paul is he knows the game just as well as Ty Lue, most likely, if not
better.
more. So
Because I think if I'm Chris Paul, I'm saying, bro, you not a you wasn't a good player. You're not a good coach, right? You didn't win nothing as a player, and I mean ever. You part of one of the most iconic uh, moments in NBA history, and not on the positive side of it. And if you want to throw your ring up there, come on, dog. You was on a team where LeBron was a superstar. He was gonna win a ring that year. Where you could have stayed home for most of them games. And if you really look at it, he kind of did. This is Obi-Wan LeBron.
you're acting
He's
like he's the
already
coach.
like, yeah.
You're acting
He
like he's
just
the
got
coach that
clipboard over
LeBron
there.
had to save from calling a timeout they didn't have.
Exactly. Exactly. And he didn't do it again. That's really what I'm looking like. You didn't do it before. You ain't doing it. He hadn't even got close again. And to be honest with you, he
What
not
year
gonna
did
get
he
close
do?
again.
All you
Huh?
do is spin records.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think it's disrespectful for the organization to do this, especially because to be honest with you, he pushed his way to get here. He was on the Spurs last year. He wanted to be in Los Angeles to finish out his career in this place and be closer to his family, and they basically just smoked that whole deal.
Yep.
So hopefully, glass half full. He get paid still. He get paid to be at the crib, but he's a competitor, so I don't think that's gonna be satisfying for him.
All right, fellas. Cover. Yeah. Last year. All right. Yeah. Shout out to Chris Paul, man. Last year. I mean, I don't know how long he's been there, but when you settle in with your family, then you got to leave and go to another team. I know that could be a lot on somebody.
I
So
don't think he's leaving.
you
I don't
don't
think
think
he's
he's
leaving. I think this is just gonna be his last year. If I were him, I would go to another team to finish out my last year, like kind of go out on my shield, so to speak.
hmm
But I highly doubt all the work he did to get to LA. I highly doubt he leaves
mm. Well, I mean, not leave like
his
his
family.
residence, but just have to up for work. I mean, he's already traveling, but I'm hearing other
Well, that's what I'm
players.
saying. Though he left the Spurs, he could have been doing that. He left the Spurs to be closer to the family.
Yeah.
So he wanted to be in LA to be close, play and work where he lives at, so to speak. I don't think he's going to go to another team unless we talk about like Golden State or the Lakers or maybe Sacramento, somewhere where he's close to LA, close enough to LA to travel back and forth. Because his son's pretty nice. So I think he's trying to, he's trying to take a more active role in his son's development. Chris Paul Jr. got got a bag or two.
All right, cool. You know me, I was scrolling through the internet. I want to get y'all thoughts on this video, man. I thought this video was interesting. What the future looks like for 50% of the women that's over 39. Get y'all thoughts on this.
Future of 50% of women in the West. Watch this.
Over 50% of women over 40 are on antidepressants. Let that sink in. Half of an entire generation of women medicated just to cope with life. And no, this is not just about a chemical imbalance. It's about what's really happening to women.
I've waited for my husband for so many years, and I'm just getting mad, and I'm about to turn 40. There's a lot of stress on me right now.
So a lot of my single mom friends have been like, oh, I'm so depressed. And I'm like, well, have you gotten laid recently? And they're like, well, no. And I'm like, well, bingo.
I'm 38 years old. I've never been married. I've never had children. I have 3 cats in my house.
I'll be 41 next week. And yeah, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to really tell you the shit. So after the age of basically like 32, that is when you're just going to date people that are coming off of divorce.
I am 50 years old and I have never been married and I don't have kids. And I know that some people think that is a red flag.
I'm 45 and child-free and I regret not having children.
No, I'm not the only person that feels this way. I'm turning 40 next year and I'm single with no children.
You ever have those days at work where you wish you would have married that attorney when you were 27 years old for his children?
Anybody else struggling with dating after their 40s?
Are there any men left out there in this entire universe that prefers a woman in her 40s with a natural body?
No one tells you just how lonely your 40s can be.
I do get very triggered around going to my brother's at Christmas and all the kids being there and I'm the only single person there. And I've started feeling, I mean, he doesn't know this, but I feel I can't help it. And it brings me shame.
Is this the future of 50% of women in?
Fellas.
Looks about right.
He says about right.
Sir, yes, sir.
What's your thoughts on it, man? This is how the future look. Go ahead. Start off, Vulcan.
I guess I want to start off with the lady said as far as what did she say about the brain chemical imbalance?
Yeah.
My understanding that stuff's been debunked. That chemical imbalance thing that they do for women is I don't think that's based off of real science. So you know, that part I'm not sure of because it depends what people mean by even chemical imbalance. The body's doing what it's doing. I don't know if that's an imbalance, if it's something that your body's naturally doing. That's kind of how it's made to work, operate. So that part aside, when it comes to the antidepressant thing, a lot of this, I think this is for a lot of different reasons. One, obviously, I've said it on the show many times, I'm not a big believer in modern psychology. And so I think a lot of that stuff is just a big money grab that takes advantage of primarily women who are more susceptible to suggestion and guilt, and then having somebody tell them that things are not their fault and it comes from things like their childhood, which can't be changed, so they can be a perpetual victim. So I think I've seen videos where people break down, they ask therapists, have you ever cured somebody before? And the answer was inevitably no. So not only that, the treatment's more financially lucrative, right? So you see that people really go in there because you're paying somebody to tell you things about yourself, which is a conflict of interest because if they want to stay in business, it behooves them to not offend you too much because most people are very brittle of spirit. And the last thing I'll say about that, well, 2 more things I'm going to say about that. One, a lot of the concepts that come out of modern psychology are anti-biblical, anti-Bible. They conflict with the scriptures in ways. And the thing about the modern psychology, a lot of that stuff is not even quantifiable. So you're leaving, Judeo-Christian perspectives and teachings where the heart of the problem for an individual and humanity is their sin, is them missing the mark of God. And modern psychology gives a different reason for why people are doing what they're doing or not doing what they're doing. I would say it doesn't get to the root of it. So person does A. Why did they do A? Well, tell me about your childhood. Instead of person does A. Why'd you do A? I was mad and I didn't like what they did, so I wanted to get them back. You know,
Yeah.
that's so which one is more get into the root of it? The book of James would say, you know, why are there wars among you? Because you haven't, you want, you do not have. And there's a war in your members. And so you do cheating, stealing things to get things that you haven't earned or you don't deserve based off your sinful nature. That is, but that requires you to take responsibility of what you're actually doing. So that's
accountability.
Sorry, go ahead, Freshly.
No, that's accountability. I know that's a trigger word.
Are you
but
getting
I
a
like
delay
it.
on your end? He knows. Is he delaying on your end? Yeah, I think there's a slight delay on yours, Fresh.
Oh, okay. Is it still there?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, that's real bad.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, so I mentioned a part about it conflicting with the Bible, and those are people who are Christians. That's very important. But even if you're not a Christian, it's still very important because modern psychology. If you ever study the history of modern psychology, if you you understand how the pharmaceutical industry has made a lot of money out of it, and how they push certain things on certain doctors or therapists, whatever the case may be, so that they can keep making money off the treatments instead of providing a cure, which obviously there is no cure for a lot of these things. Wife hits you upside the head, and then you take her to the therapist, and the therapist says, oh, she's dealing with abandonment issues and stuff like that, which the Bible would say, you know, if abandonment issues or anxiety, if that's any type of fear, the Bible says the true love casts out all fear. So, you know, what are we doing here? And then we have this anti-biblical movement. People are anti-biblical movement where people say, well, you know, the church wants you to just pray it away. Just pray it away. The church has been counseling way longer than modern psychology has been counseling. So even on that note right there, it's that the church gets a bad rap because people say that all the people want to do with the church is just pray your problems away. And I've never been to a church that the people in the church and leadership are saying that. If they were, I would just tell them they're wrong. Obviously, you got to have interactions and conversations. The Bible, they have interactions and conversations. It says, is there not a wise person among you that judge the smallest matters? So, you see in the scriptures of the Old Testament, the New Testament, they would have people in the areas that were the elders, that were the elite thinkers, and philosophers of their time, and theologians, and they would walk people through things and help people search their heart. So that's a straw man of the church to say that they just want you to pray your problems away. And I think that because that stereotype or that caricature of the church's process in dealing with sin issues, mental issues, whatever you want to say, emotional issues, because that people go, oh, I'm gonna go to alternative, and the alternative right now, the biggest religion right now that's an alternative for working through problems is modern psychology. And if you look at most of the therapists that are out there, this is a very dominant women, and a lot of these women who are the over 40 that are on these antidepressants, how many of those are therapists? That'd be an interesting study to see. Last thing I'll say about that is they've done some studies where people have sent actors to different therapy groups and different clinics and hospitals with people that were mentally ill. And most of the times that I've seen the studies done, they couldn't tell who was mentally ill and who was not. Different clinics will give the same person acting the same symptoms, different diagnosis. And then a guy published an article about it, and they were like, "Oh, send your people here, and I'll be able to diagnose it." And so they sent out. So this particular clinic sent out the article saying, "We found out who it was. We found out who actually, were the people that were the actors versus the real." And so we foiled your little plan there. And the guy goes, "I never sent anybody." So again, my point is just saying, when you're dealing with these soft sciences, we got to be very careful, because just because somebody puts on a lab coat or has glasses on or puts a pen to paper, it makes them look like they have a 200 IQ, but it doesn't mean that they're actually working off something that's quantifiable, measurable, manageable, something that's actually going to give you real results in the life. I'm not saying that there's no benefit to talking to somebody about your problems. Obviously, venting, having somebody walk you through certain things and see things you may not see from an
outside
objective
perspective.
standpoint. But the difficulty is, if you're paying them, how objective is it really going to be? It's just human psychology. They've done studies on people that are working, and then they have like screensavers of computers in the background. And when the screensaver was a fruit basket as opposed to money, people were more likely to work together if it was a fruit basket. If it was money, they were less likely to work together if it was money on the screensaver. They're not even using the computers. It just does something to our psyche. It makes us act more selfishly. And so you can't. I never sent anyone as well. Yeah, exactly. So the thing is, my point is saying this is that if you're paying somebody to talk to you, that's a conflict of interest. I know that's an
So
industry.
essentially what you're saying is if therapy was free, there'd be a lot more therapists telling folks to get their ish together.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, I love therapy movies like K-Pax. I love K-Pax. I mean, some of the deepest movies. What's the one with man? I can't think of the guy's name. He was Hank Pym in Ant-Man, but he did a movie where he was a therapist, and his family had been the Phoenix lady from X-Men, the original Phoenix lady from X-Men. She was his wife, and they kidnapped their kid and her. Sorry, and he had to like help this, psycho, do something so that he can get his family back. And so I love movies with the thrillers that have that therapy and get into the deep mind and psyche, that kind of stuff. It's some of the best movies out there. But a lot of
I don't
things
know
they
how
do.
much you love them if you don't know the name of the movie or any of the actors.
A rose under the name is just as sweet. Shout out to Shakespeare.
Are you sure he wrote that? Come on now.
Yeah, who knows?
It's a fraud.
Yeah, so that's what I have to say. I haven't even gotten to the 40 and older stuff that much, but I just wanted to break down the modern psychology part of it. Anybody have anything they want to say before I go into that part? I'm talking too fast.
Nah, I will say
Don't play
just
this
for,
on
just for
1.5 speed.
clarification. I will say this just for clarification. That article says that, and they might have done a study. It's a limited study, but I AI'd it, and it's closer. About 19% of women over 40 are on antidepressants, which is not saying that it's still not a problem, but it's not the problem that this article is saying it is. So
yeah,
everything still applies.
Yeah, and I haven't even got to that. Thanks for saying that. So I didn't put my foot in my mouth. I haven't got to that part yet. Well, I think I did reference that, but the whole thing about the antidepressants thing is, there's a lot of studies that say there's better things to help you with depression than drugs.
Yeah,
from my understanding, whether it's exercise,
religion,
eating the right foods, I definitely spirituality for sure, and then also like having close relationships with your parents, having close relationship with your family. Those things are known to be a lot more helpful.
Especially being a well-adjusted human being.
Absolutely. Science seems to suggest that people that focus on positivity, your brain rewires to see things in that way. That's one of the things about trauma in the psychology world. They'll say that you've experienced this trauma. Two people could have the same thing happen to them, and one goes, "That was kind of wild. But at least I didn't, I didn't get deleted." The other person can be like, "Oh, this is gonna scar me for the rest of my life." The same thing happened to both people.
Yeah.
And so
it's always about perspective and how you handle it.
A lot of it is about, for sure. A lot of it is perspective.
And that's what people refuse to acknowledge in these spaces is that too much of it hinges on who the person is and how they handle things, how mentally strong that they are, how they were raised, those types of things. So to your point, it's not as much of an epidemic as people would have you believe, because for every one person that is scarred for life about it, you could probably find 2 or 3 people out there, maybe more, who recognize how bad it was, but are still able to move on with life. That's not to belittle the people who are having issues with it, but again, that typically is the loudest minority, is what I like to call it. Those are the loudest about the issue. So you think it's a much bigger problem than it is, because the people who experience it are not, suffering as much from it. They're not telling, they're not shouting it from the rooftops. They're not using it as an excuse. So you hear about it less.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about the therapist, and I'm not saying anything wrong with being therapists. They have a use. They can be helpful. I just think that we're starting to pedestalize them in ways that are what we used to pedestalize pastors and priests and stuff like that. And all we know about all the gross improprieties of the cloth, but I think the improprieties of the therapists out there, if we were to quantify that stuff, it would be far worse. I mean, anybody who's dated, people that are therapists and stuff like that, you realize they don't know as much as they pretend to know. And then you start to see the biases in their advice, especially somebody who had a bad relationship. You know how some women can be at times. They get a bad relationship, and now all their therapy has that in there. If somebody ever says this to you, don't tolerate it, okay? Like, what? Who came to you about my father? So now they're throwing all that stuff in there. So I just say that a lot of it is situational, where it can be useful. They got to do something with you. People are just hoping. And I've counseled many people, and I've been counseled by not as many people, but I've been counseled by people. I've seen people that were considered skilled counselors, and I didn't like them. I didn't think they were doing a good job. They were very good critical thinkers. They have their own biases. They have their own motivations. And I don't mean even sinister motivations. I'll just give one example. I remember I was talking to a therapist with somebody was a therapist, and there was a lady who took issue with me because of an online post. Basically, this person had put it online that Christians shouldn't celebrate pagan holidays, right? So all I did was send an article from a Christian website about that issue. That person took offense to it, blocked me, blah, 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 was really angry. And we went to the same church. So we went to
So y'all met up and y'all threw hands about it.
Well, they happened to see me there, and they thought I made a face. So they took it to somebody who gives a lot of counsel and is known as being a great counselor. And so I said, so they're saying, "Hey, what's going on?" And then she tells her story, and she's tearing up. She's like, "I'm fine. I'm not bothered by it," while she's crying profusely. And then I'm saying, like,
visibly,
all I did was send an article online, and then I saw the person, and they said I had a face. And so there was like, well, obviously, go ahead.
Say, because you're invalidating her trauma.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, I'm saying, like, well, she said, well, can you just share some things you could have done better, or that, so that she'll feel more comfortable to, and I'm like, no, that's manipulation. No. If I tell this person that I need sending that article, there was a better way in some kind of in the randomness of the universe, that there was some kind of other way to doing it, instead of just acknowledging this person has a brittle spirit, is very defensive, and has a major ego, which is the real issue. Then if we're talking about anything else other than that, then we're just deceiving the person while they're in a vulnerable state. But this person really, a lot of people think
that's
that
an enabling.
Yeah, a lot of people think that. That's why we got to be careful when we get people to counsel, because some people have this mindset that I've got to check both of them, right? Even if one person's innocent, even if one person did a good thing, it's like, you did a great thing here, but you really got to work on this.
Oh yeah, it's like y'all both was wrong. Y'all both did something.
Trying to drag us both down together. Because what happens is the other person walks off going, yeah, both of us could have did it better. It's like, I'm gonna keep on doing this. You know what I'm saying? I did a good thing, and the therapist didn't say a better way. I've seen people speculate better ways. They'll say, well, but maybe if we did this, it would have helped. Okay, yeah, maybe, but why are you bringing up something you don't even know for sure would help, just to undermine what I did, that you can't say is not good? And there's good evidence that suggests that it was actually good, just because somebody else didn't like it or didn't respond in a healthy way to it.
Most therapists are not concerned with fixing the problem. Most therapists are concerned with fixing the people, addressing the dynamic or the relationship. So, if you fix the problem, it doesn't make you money. But if you have to work on the people, because that's what therapy is mostly for.
I love that. Yeah, I also think there's something to it where I saw this online. I thought it was really funny. It's like, if you're gonna do some type of therapy, the therapist has to have a higher IQ than you. And that's more like a catchy, easy way, concise way of saying it. But I've known people that when you're counseling with somebody who is not as gifted as a thinker as you, even if they read some books, whatever their online school where they were copying and pasting the test answers. No, I'm just playing. But anything they did to get to to where they are, and you can see the flaws in their logic and their reasoning. You can see the confirmation bias and the negative biases. You can see whenever they're doing these flagrant violations to all things that we uphold in critical thinking, then it really makes you lose credibility with them. And then
Well, that
if you
depends on what
show
type of
that with
critical
your,
thinker you are, though.
sorry, go ahead.
It depends on what type of critical thinker that you are as a patient. I'm gonna be, because you talking about an overall IQ or IQ in that science.
Well, I think the thing on
Good
line that
question.
was saying, it was just basically saying that it's got to be somebody smarter than you or better than you at thinking.
Therapy?
Because if they're trying to walk you through it, and you could do a better job walking them through it, because there's nuance that they don't notice or they can't deal with, or you see them slipping up with exact word fallacies and stuff like that, you're going like, because that's why we, so I were talking about this earlier about the reality is like every single discipline or science has epistemology in it, how we know what we know for the audience out there, and philosophy. That's one of the branches of philosophy, and not everybody's a good philosopher. Anybody can read a book and put answers on a test and get a degree and and get their certs to be able to do counseling. It doesn't mean that you are even above average thinker. And so their communication, their vocabulary, their extrapolations, their inferences to the best explanations, their deductions, all of these things are going to be very limited.
I think there's a minority, a drastic minority of people who that would impact, who are overall smart enough to where a therapist who's not as smart as they are IQ wise, but more educated, in their specialty, would be ineffective. I think that's a very, very small minority. Well, you might be in that minority where you would notice that stuff and it might not be helpful to you because you can outthink the therapist. But I think there's not a lot of people out there who can do that, who can overall outthink someone who's a specialist in that area. That's not, and I'm still not, giving much to the validity of the science.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, like, if I'm a specialist in anything, I know more about that thing than the average human being. It would take an above average human being to.
Well, see, you're probably right about that. But the thing that, if I remember correctly, my information could be wrong because it's probably been 10, 15 years since I've looked at it. But when you look at the test scores for the different degree plans and the people that graduate, I think psychology and teachers are like the lowest when it comes to SAT scores, ACT scores, and also GPAs. People typically become therapists whenever their first plan didn't work out.
Yeah, you hear that.
My point is saying these people are the lower end of the totem pole when it comes to like college.
Fresh laughing. Why you laughing?
Hey, this man going
it's one of the easier degree
right
plans.
Hey, listen, I ain't with him.
It's one of the easier degree plans as far as rigor.
All right, Jadakiss. That's what
educational rigor is
crazy.
So they would be on the lower end as far as professionals, right? That doesn't mean everybody. So everybody understand. Like I'm not talking about every single individual in this particular group.
Just the industry,
generally speaking. And so that being the case, and it's
stand on
dominated
business,
by, huh?
Stand on business.
Stand on business. And it's dominated by ladies who are not.
Oh, it just keep getting worse.
Yeah, who don't
just
esteem
yourself in his home.
who don't esteem critical thinking and logic to this at the same level as professional men would.
Dang.
Not talking about how good they are at it or how they can pass a test about it. I'm talking about esteeming it in conversation.
I should have known, what type of time he was going to be on when I seen that shirt. I should know he's going to be on Diva Time with this one.
But on the other side of it, with the ladies, as far as over 40, whatever the number is for the antidepressants and stuff like that, because somebody may not get the medicine but still be depressed, whatever that means, or they can just be overall dissatisfied with their trajectory of their life, where they are in their life. I think that's going to be higher than 19, maybe even higher than the 40% or 50% thing. So, but I think the overall, as we pushed marriage out further, and because we pushed marriage out further, we were meant to be together primarily, women and men. And so if you're prolonging those things, and women tend to think that they have more access to men than they really do, and then they don't look at things clinically in a sense of, okay, when I was 20, I had this level of access to men, I'm 30, I had this level of access to men, and 40, I have this level of access. So they're thinking they're going to get the same options they had before they got married in their 20s. And then they come out in their, late 30s and they're like, the people that are left are not marriage minded. The people that are left, already hip to the game. So you're coming out there brand spanking new with Similac on your breath. And these men out here are running right through you because they already know the game. They've already seen your naivete and your primitive manipulation tactics that you might use on dates. These guys already see it a mile away. And so, and not saying that everybody's doing those, manipulative tactics, but just saying that after they get done with their husband and they're thinking that, oh, I got these options, they're getting, somebody complimenting them, that dopamine or that novelty is high with the new guys, and guys seeing, oh, you just fresh off of being married, or you've been in a relationship for a long time. Oh yeah, we got to get to that. I know you haven't been touched, too much. And so the sharks are out.
Yeah.
And in
I
those
wouldn't leave
situations,
if I was a woman, I wouldn't leave a marriage unless I was going to another marriage.
yeah, it's
Well,
like
I
a
think
job,
that's
right?
what most marriages. That's what most women they say when women typically when they cheat, when they divorce, they typically are with a guy they potentially want to marry or get with afterwards. They said most women usually have a plan B.
Yeah, dual mating
Well,
strategy.
backup plan is not. It's a guy they think they want to marry, but the other
Yeah,
side of that
yeah.
fence, and the more important side is, does that guy want to marry them?
Mm.
A lot of
Yeah.
these dudes that women cheat with are opportunists, and they're perfectly okay with, which is why statistically women are better at cheating, because guys are okay with playing that role. While
But
a
I
lot
don't
of
hear a
women are
lot of
not.
women when women do go through divorce. I don't hear a lot of them say they're looking to get married again. It's like I hear the narrative they're
What?
willing. Yeah, they want to date. I'm going off what you said as far as if I was a woman, I'm not going to divorce unless I have another husband, right? Or get married again. I'm
Right,
saying
unless
I'm
I'm
hearing
going
women
through
say when they go
another
divorce, they're
marriage.
ready to go in the dating world.
Right, but that again, I would say if I was a woman, I wouldn't do that, because going into
Yeah.
the dating world, if you still want to be married at any point in time, it's very likely that at that point you're not marriage material to most of the men out there who are looking to get married. You once divorced, you most likely got kids, you got baggage and trauma from another relationship that they're gonna have to deal with. And we see this in the statistics. It's why a lot of these women who are older, who are divorced, are staying single. When I mean by single, I mean they're not getting married. They're not getting remarried. And it's not because they
And
don't
that
want
was
to
the
get
white
remarried for the
women.
most part.
Think how bad it is for the black women out there.
Damn, you just gonna keep
know,
digging. Listen, guys,
Yeah.
this is my
Well, you
man.
mean as bad as what? As far as the depression? As far as
Well,
remarried?
you could say depression.
Because I wonder that because I see a lot of studies that women actually are not as depressed when they're out of marriage. They actually enjoy
they tend to report to be happier.
Happier, that's what it is.
Yeah, but I think that's like a sugar rush, which I think doesn't even really exist. But the crash, there's a crash after that happiness, which you're seeing in these videos right here.
Okay, so they haven't hit that wall yet.
Yeah, because they think, okay, the grass is greener on this side, and now we got to think, because people are gonna be like, well, look at so and so, look at so and so. The average woman makes less than $40,000 a year.
Yeah, seeing that. I didn't know that.
And so the thing is, so when you're seeing these women, these professional women and stuff like that are like, excuse me, I just heard Dr. Cheyenne Bryant say on the show with what's his name, China Sharp. She was talking about her dad told her that a successful woman doesn't need marriage. She was like, no, I want to be a wife. I want to be a mother, but so I didn't even like her response, because it was like, it was utility why she was choosing to be married, because a successful woman doesn't need it. And it's just untrue, especially if you're gonna rear children. But even outside of that, women do need men for spiritual leadership. That's what she was quoting scripture. I think that's one of the biggest things, because as the spirituality organized religion has declined, and spiritualities or paganism, whatever you want to call it, has risen, that's more open and free and not as rigid and not as quantifiable and measurable and stuff like that. As that stuff's increasing, I would include modern psychology in that as well. As that's increasing, women don't, because men aren't going to be involved in those things as much. Men tend to stick to organized religions or nothing. And women are now starting, I think there's more men in the church now than women, or they report to be religious, at least, how the study goes. And so, but men aren't going to be leading women in astrology. They're not going to be leading women in modern psychology like that. They're not going to be leading women in Satanism or any other kind of spiritualities, Reiki and all that kind of stuff. Women are crystals and all that stuff.
Unless it's a cult leader they follow in, but not
tarot cards, however you refer to them. Those are women-dominated industries, and and men aren't leading them. So now it used to be understood that a man was there for spiritual guidance. He provides discipline and logic and a strict adherence to the moral. They've done studies that men who have higher levels of testosterone lead to more conservatism, and not only that, they're more likely to stand for what's right, even if the crowd says it's wrong. That's what the studies are showing. And so as men are getting more effeminate with estrogen in the water and birth control in the water and plastic and whatever else is going on with us, tofu, whatever's making us more like that. I don't know what it is exactly. Yeah. Ooh, killer tofu. So that's Doug for those who don't know.
You want one today.
Yeah. But with all those things right there, as men are becoming more effeminate, there's studies that are showing women prefer men who are more intellectually effeminate. When I watch a lot of these Tyler Perry movies with these black men, they can be big and brawny and they can be rich and things of that nature. But I'm listening to them mentally. The women are just sharper and faster. Women are typically more sharper than men when it comes to their verbal skills anyway. But these guys are intellectually weak. Even when it comes to the conversation, they're not even able to lead with logic. They're not even able to leave with logic. T. Reason on the season, baby, on that boy Munoz. Yes, sir.
What's the deal?
Hey, what up, fellas?
What's goody?
What's going on, man?
Is that Wesley Snipes?
I hope we not interrupting nothing, but you already know we had to come in.
Yeah, Munoz brought y'all in. What's goody?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What's the topic? What y'all on right now? Oh, hey, watch where you going, boy. What you doing?
Boy, howdy. boy.
Well, anyways, do we cover that for the most part? Anything else we want to add to it?
Yeah, you definitely burned that one down, big dog.
Yeah, the lady who had ran, I think, Cosmopolitan magazine or owned it or whatever the case may be, she converted to Catholicism, and she said that our goal was to keep women single. The women are single, they spend more money. So we lied to women, told them that the Sex and the City lifestyle was the best lifestyle. So all those things women are going to find as they get older and the osteoporosis sets in and the hot flashes from all that stuff start to set, and they're going to realize it'd be really nice to have somebody help, open this pickle jar. And they can get men, it decreases over time, the kind of men they get access to, depending upon whatever their beauty, what femininity was to start off with. But as that starts to
then it's transactional, though.
Sorry, say it again.
Yeah, it's transactional. It
becomes very transactional.
Because as long as I'm getting what I want, I'll stay here.
Absolutely. Because as we get older, we get more rigid in what we'll accept and we won't accept. I mentioned this on the show before. My grandparents who were in the 80s. They can get a little frustrated over the remote control not being in the right place. Like, who moved my remote control? Even us. I mean, that might be a little frustrating for us, but it's not worth reprimanding somebody over. But as we get older, we get more set in our ways. And so when people are trying to couple later, when you couple in your 20s, both of y'all are still moving and shifting and very malleable, and so it's a lot easier to coalesce. Because that synergy can be helpful because how you're viewing each other is as a growing, and you're hopeful about the future. But when you meet somebody at a certain age, you tend to be more rigid in what you'll accept, what you won't accept. You won't even want to have a verbal joust or disagreement about certain things because you're thinking, why am I putting up with this?
Yeah,
we're already Americanized and ruggedly individual.
Both of you are done growing for the most part.
Yeah, most of us, we don't have to be, but that's just the way we are. We like, I'm done growing. I like the way I am, especially with the movement we have now with modern psychology and all the self-help stuff. Is like, love who you are. And if somebody doesn't accept you for who you are, then that means they're not the person for you, because the person for you would never leave, and this, that, and the other. So all that stuff's going on. So yeah, I think we covered that for a good amount.
Hey, when you clip this up, don't put me in the clip, man. Yeah. Use the solo shot.
How we looking at those? You're on mute still, buddy.
Yo. All right, got the next clip. All right. Sorry about that, fellas. All right. So
nice. I wish you would have so much makeup on.
All right, full screen.
James, you're in rare. Vulcan, you're in rare form today.
That's like funeral makeup.
You are in rare form, young man.
Wow, man.
Yeah, George Shrug.
Yo. All right. Let's go ahead and
somebody
get
after
into 6
this
foot goddess.
asking who hurt you.
All right. She says Anton Davis has a white savior complex. I'm gonna get y'all thoughts on this.
When you're on camera telling the man to get away from you and back away from you, and this is during COVID, and he get this close in your face.
But the point
you
is,
are within
that
your right to remove that person out. I'm not saying you had to knock him out, but
So that's-
if you would have laid a finger on him like this, your ass would have been in jail. Even though it was
but my point
self-defense.
is that I'm more powerful when I'm thinking through the scenario, because the thing that I'm focused on is that the results. I'm not focused on the current situation. And I think that we as people often focus on how we need to react to the current situation instead of being proactive with what it is that we're doing in order to get to the results that we got to.
I think we're
He had no bearing. He had no impact or influence or anything on what it is that I was going to be doing the minute that he got out of my presence.
Did he go to jail? Did he get arrested for
We-
stalking and harassing and attacking you?
Maybe.
Absolutely not.
Maybe.
No, he did not go to jail. He did not steal.
Maybe.
No, he did not.
I'm telling you,
Then say if
sis.
he did he? No. I know
I
he
don't
didn't.
believe that he went to jail, but I do believe that he was affected financially.
We cannot ignore disadvantages that are systematically put against us, like our ancestors didn't. Our ancestors didn't just deal with what they did. They said, no, we want better. So I'm not going to say racism don't exist. I want to speak on it. I want to make it known. I want to make it. How can you get a problem fixed when you can't even acknowledge it's a problem? So that maybe content creators in 2-3 generations won't have to go through that. But if we just ignore blatant racism, that don't help no one. Just because we got what we want, now we want to ignore it. We have to look at it's bigger than us. There's people coming after us. That's all it's about. I think you're looking at it on very like people.
Well, you have to look at it.
No, it's
based
system.
off of people.
It's system.
But people
For
make
example,
up. People make up the
let's
system.
say I smell right now. Let's say I stink.
No, you smell
And
good.
but let's say if I did. Let's say if I was stinky.
I just got to
And-
say that for the people because
I don't stink, just so y'all know. But
She
I'm
smell-
just giving an
she
example.
smell really
let's
good.
say what is that? Dolce.
Shout out to
Dolce.
shout out to Six with the good smell.
Shout out. But my point is, let's say if I smell and I'm like, damn, like I took a shower, I put on, I still smell. You have to figure out the root. The root might be maybe you're eating pork belly and Pepsi every day. And that pork belly and Pepsi coming out your pores. So you might sit there and wash and put the deodorant, but the smell's still there because you didn't go to the root of what it was. So at the end of the day, we all out here making moves. We doing our thing. I am all for us making our money, taking care of our family, but we have to always acknowledge that underlying smell, the root of everything is going to be racism and white supremacy. It's okay to acknowledge it. Then you can say, okay, let me cut that out my diet. Now I'm smelling better. So my thing is, I think it's dangerous to
We
not
pause
acknowledge it. Even that instance that happened with you with that white man in that bakery, and they sat there and let that man attack you. And then
So the thing for me, what she's saying is, I do agree. You should try to get to the root of issues, but this is the philosophical side of it. Most people are focused on the discipline of it, whatever the discipline of looking at the root. There might be like some kind of psychology, maybe sociology. But the reality is this: in philosophy, you can get into the infinite regress of knowledge. So she said she brought up the root. Somebody could, be smelling bad. What's the root? Is the root that they're eating the wrong kind of foods, drinking the wrong kind of foods? Then you get into why are they eating the wrong kind of foods and drinking the wrong foods, right? Then you get into that part. Then you get, okay, why are they doing that? So eventually you got to stop somewhere and then start working from that point. So that's not a contradiction to what she's saying. I just want to make sure people understand that even what she said may not be the root of it all. Because what I've seen this stuff happen. Somebody goes, well, why are you drinking those kind of high in sugar and salt and fatty foods? Well, maybe you're pregnant. Maybe it's because, why are you pregnant? Well, I'm pregnant because I like to have indiscriminate, indiscriminate activities of copulation. So you get all that kind of stuff, and then where are you going to go? Why do I do that? Well, because my dad abandoned me and I didn't have a father. So when you're talking about on an individual basis with a person and you go to the system, you don't have to stop there necessarily. Or sorry, when it comes to the smelling bad situation, where are you going to stop? And I think Anton, I don't know if he's going to get into this point of it, but the reality is you got to think, okay, each layer, how can you prove that there's a definitive line between the action and its source? Correlation is not necessarily causation. And so she's not going to do that. I'm sure, because I don't see many people actually make a connection between one and the other. There's like loose fringe psychology out there that'll say, well, the reason why Black people do this or do that because in their cells, they still have slavery in their cells and their memory and stuff like that. It's like on a subconscious level. And so those things can happen.
Yeah, they call it epigenetics.
Yeah, I've seen people say, oh, the reason a woman that was extremely obese, and the reason why Black women are obese is because of systematic
fat
racism.
gene. That's crazy.
You know, so
gene is crazy.
Yeah,
people say that. Okay.
Help the Bear says, I think Black folks going to be talking about how racism affects us in the year 2196. Sheesh. When do we say it doesn't anymore?
I think these kind of conversations. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, like, I think we stop saying that when it actually does stop impacting us. The problem is what Vulcan was talking about is the inaction, the paralysis that it puts on the community when we have something else to blame, right? Anton Daniels is kind of espousing something that I really love, and he hasn't said it. He might get into it later on, but really to interpret what he's saying is you controlling those situations. The only thing you can't control is yourself. She's essentially saying like what that man did to you in that bakery you should have done A, B, and C. He's saying I didn't have to do that. It didn't affect me like you feel like it would have affected you, and he was able to get a better result out of it. She's right. He would have probably gone to jail. There's probably some sort of rage bait that was happening there. But the problem with the community is just because it's real in some spaces, we stop there. Right. That's where we put all our focus, and we don't work on ourselves, which is also part of the problem, right? A lot of people, especially modern folks, want to do what they want to do, the way they want to do it, when they want to do it, irregardless of rules or structure or standards. It's just like, hey, whenever I want to do this, I want to be able to do this, and no one should be able to tell me I can't. But the problem is that's not how real life works. It's not how society works overall, and that's why there's so many of these types of issues going on. So
yeah, and also the reality is
that was something she's referring to the system though. The system, she says that's the root of the cause. So if racism, white supremacy is white meaning class, white people that's classified as white, there's supremacy, total control. So all the problems Black people have is coming out in this route. So yeah, you have
but that's not true though. That's inaccurate.
Well, definitely total control would be inaccurate. I mean, I'm assuming that they mean like total in the absolute sense. It wouldn't be. They say like as far as from our vantage point or the vantage point of non-classified white people, maybe they might feel total, I guess, to them, but I don't think it's total at all. But even aside from that, I'd want to say you can get to the root of that. From the Christian perspective, the heart of that would be the nature of man. Even if there was a thing called white supremacy, if that exists, whether it exists or it doesn't, for the Christian, we're going to go, okay, why are they doing this? Well, man has a sinful nature. Power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. Only God was meant to have absolute power. So if they have this absolute or total power that's being stated, we have a good reason to believe that they would be corrupt with it like anybody else. Part of my issue with the white supremacy argument, though, is even if you grant it, why do we assume that if somebody else had that level of control, they would be more benevolent?
Because we assume that because if you look historically, you don't see Black people historically running the world the way white people are doing. You haven't seen it on this level.
We haven't seen them run the world, or we haven't seen them run the world like this.
Haven't seen them run historically, I haven't seen them run the world. When I mean run the world, all four corners of the earth. And
so they haven't
like
had a chance to see if they can do a good or bad job then, from what you're saying.
Yeah, we haven't.
So that's my question. My question is, why would we assume that they would be more benevolent in their supremacy?
Assumption, yeah. So because it's just going off,
because we're going off nothing.
Yeah.
Also, when you look at,
if you haven't seen it,
and generally speaking,
people say all of our problems come from this. Then that gives you an excuse to not work on yourself, right? When you say all of our problems are because of this, that takes away any of the accountability that the individual has in their actions. It's almost like
can do it, or
that system exists.
I agree with you. It
Go
can
ahead.
do that, but also can it also make you aware of what you are up against?
Well,
Can it
that's
do
what I
that?
wanted to talk about that part right there. I was going to say that point earlier because my thing is that we got to be aware of like confirmation bias. So if somebody wants to diagnose why people are in a certain situation, they go, okay, we're talking about white supremacy. Why do we stop there? From a academic, intellectual standpoint, you would go, okay, let's do a multivariate analysis. Where does this rank as far as its effect on the people? It may be like they've done this stuff with like sexism and stuff like that. And they'll say, yeah, there's sexism in the workplace, but according to our studies, it's like number 10 on the list. You see what I'm saying? So then you have people campaigning on this 10th thing. I can't think of the word I want to use. 10th influence. I'll use influence, the best one I can come up with right now. And it's like if you're looking at risk management, you're supposed to be way up here, 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
You're not even coming at
when
this
you look at that, that's the
scientifically.
easiest blanket like reason that doesn't require accountability on your part. That might be the first thing that puts it on someone else, and now it's not your problem. It's not your doing. You don't have to do anything about it but complain. And I think again, I acknowledge like this young lady that it does exist. So to answer Help the Bears question, I don't think there's going to be a point in time when it doesn't affect us, but it doesn't affect us as much as folks say, and it shouldn't affect us as much as it does now. Like Vulcan was saying, it's pretty low on the list for the individual.
Okay, but
if you would really look at it, you would be able to see like, hey, what did you? And this is the accountability part of it. Okay, if that puts you, at 50%. Or if you're at 50%, how much of that 50% can you impact? Right. So now if it's like, well, if I fix myself, I get myself together and I can get up to 75%. Right. So it just depends on like, but it's like, hey, if I'm down here because of that and I didn't do anything wrong, there's nothing wrong with me. There's nothing I need to do to work on myself. Right. There's no personal issues that I have that could have me in this situation because you have such a large blanket statement to blame it on.
Okay, if total is absurd, would it be safe to say they got most of control
in America,
globally in the world?
There's not even that many white people in the world.
Yeah, but who has the most control as far as dictating public policy, influence different countries, how they should think, live,
See, this,
etc.
This is sorry. Y'all continue this, and I'll say my point afterwards.
Well, yeah, he was asking a question.
Yeah.
What was the question? Sorry, I don't know.
If total is absurd, would it be safe to say most control? That
I'll grant total. I just think we got to get in the intricacies of this. Like right now, where I am, I feel like total control of what I'm doing for the most part. There's nobody, because like we can say obviously in the 1600s, 1700s, people that look like me knew they felt not in control. Is that safe to say?
Yeah.
I feel a lot more in control than people 300 years ago on this land. So I'm trying to imagine more freedom than I have now. Can any of y'all imagine a way in which you're more free that wouldn't be utter anarchy? Like, I know this isn't clinical here, y'all. So I'm not saying that they can't do it or I can't do it. It means it doesn't exist. I'm just curious. Can any of us imagine more freedom that doesn't lead to anarchy? Right? Because obviously more free is no more but the purge.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, for sure.
But it's not even more free because people can infringe upon your liberties. So that's where it's going to get dicey, philosophically speaking. Is like, what do we mean by total control? The African Americans on this continent are the most wealthy.
Most wealthy. Yeah.
And we're in the heart
that's what
of.
I was going to say. Like 11% of the world's population is considered white. So I just don't know how much influence that they're able to have on the world. So in America, for sure.
Yeah, but wait a minute. Say that again, Fresh.
Like 11% of the world's population is white.
Yeah, that's including America and European countries, right?
Yeah, but again, you said the world.
Yeah,
I asked you to clarify if you meant America. but 11% of the population is white. How much influence on the world are you talking about? Because that was your postulation is.
Yeah, so
they have
America. I use America as what they, what we consider the Western civilization. So that's including America and Europe. I use them interchangeably.
You're saying that's the world power, right?
But,
So
the world power. The world power is the West.
Saying the white nations, whatever that means, is the world powers. I mean, they can eliminate anybody they want to. They get to set the policy, the rules. They can control the currency. They can have the most access to the resources, even outside of their own lands. I'm assuming that's what we're talking about right now.
Yes, that's what I'm.
Yeah. The institutions of education go through them, so you're trained in their way of thinking and to honor their values.
Have the most influence because most foreign countries, whether you're in China or Russia, to get properly educated, most times, even in Africa, they go to the West to get the best education. So they have they on the hierarchy as far as influence, the West, Europe and America. Whether it's the percentages, I don't get. My question is, why do you think that because they have less, a low percentage, they don't have great influence over the world or the most influence over the world? As far as ideologies?
I would just put, I didn't say they didn't. I was asking you to clarify because you said the world. So 11% of the population is white. You at least have to consider that number when you're talking about that. Talking about influence.
Yeah, I know we stopped this video. We were waxing long on this topic, but I do think it's something that people don't really dice up too much because I think most of us, when we hear systemic racism, we stop. And most conversations I see online is systemic racism and then stop. But we replace all the because we can imagine that even if all whites benefit from white supremacy in this hypothetical situation, to me anyway, it's hypothetical. In this there's people who are not actually movers and shakers in this particular system. So the movers and shakers, if they were replaced with all Asians or all Latinos or all blacks, or whatever people you want to put in there, all Middle Eastern, how sure is the person who is saying that white supremacy is the worst thing that we have or the problem with all the ills in society, how sure are they that if we would replace them with other people that it would be better? Of course, the reason why I think that's an important question, because anybody who understands business or sports or any type of competitive environment, typically the people at the top are the best.
Yes.
Not all the time, but typically the people at the top are there for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason why they're dominating what they're doing. Now, people can cheat. People can exploit an advantage. That does exist. But generally speaking, people that are on top are there because they have something that gives them the edge that they need. And so my point is saying, like, there's good reason to at least ask the question that if this system exists and they're the ones in power, is that because of the best ones that run the world to get us wherever we're trying to go?
So in other words, white people are the best.
That could be a possibility. That could be a possibility.
Yeah.
What's the deal, Brad?
What up, Brad?
My thing is, why can't that be a question? Sorry, go ahead.
Say again.
Yeah, it's like my thing is, why can't that be a question on the table?
Yo, that's a good thing. You don't hear people say that.
Yeah, and some people might hear me go, that's a genetic. He's talking genetic, like superior genetics. It could be a cultural thing.
Yeah, because what certain coaches esteem, they might esteem certain things other coaches don't esteem that got them in the position.
It could be the case if you put 100 people in a tropical environment and put 100 people in a tundra, ice tundra, whatever you would call it, and then give them 1,000 years. The people in the tundra will be able to overtake the people in the tropical region. It's quite possible, no matter who you put in that situation, that could happen just because of the climate and what you have to develop in order to survive in that type of climate and the kind of mindset that you assimilate into in order to conquer that area. Because it's less resource dense. Obviously, it's gonna be they're gonna have to come up with ways to beat people around them for resources. And so
basically, what you're saying, Vulcan, is you love the white man.
I love everybody.
Okay, I could see a rebuttal saying I could see people saying I don't think they're the best. I just think they might be more savage. Their culture is just more warlike, more savage than the other cultures. I can see. I heard people. No, that was my point.
anybody who studies evolutionary biology and understands how, people that study sociology, anthropology, the most savage people don't rise to the top.
Yeah.
Because you got to have more than just that skill.
Mhm.
We've all worked with people that were pretty savage. That doesn't mean they end up being your boss.
Yeah. You see that in the streets too.
To
Yeah.
do that. I'm not saying savagery's not a part of it. So
Yeah.
please don't hear what I'm not saying. I'm just saying anybody understands how people rule for long periods of time and sustain it and build societies with liberty that we experience it now. Savagery cannot be the main component of it.
That's a good point.
Still served him his fucking food. And they sat there and let that man attack you and then still served.
I don't feel like I was attacked.
Still served him his fucking food.
I don't feel like I was attacked.
Not one person asked him to leave. They still took his money. When if that would have been your black ass attacking him like that, you would have been escorted out and they would not have served you.
I don't believe so. I don't believe so, Six.
What is the reason? Okay,
Anton. No. Okay, listen. Think about it like this, right?
Anton.
Think
So
about
you're
it like
saying that
this.
man did not attack you?
No.
Did you see the same video I saw?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm telling you, listen.
Real quick.
I
This is what happens when you.
I was gonna say one thing. One thing
This
that
is what happens when you think your perspective or your opinion is law.
Yeah. Look at her face right there. And my thing is that I wish I could be part of this conversation. There's questions I want to ask her.
She's done.
That would at least level set her on her confidence in her theories. I'm not saying she's wrong, people out there. I'm saying the job of the thinker is to discover the assumptions and commonly held beliefs. So we've got to unearth these assumptions. We got to excavate whatever the root of that stuff is so we can evaluate it. We can measure it. Then we can manage it. She may be right, but I never hear these conversations get to any level of real depth. We stop conveniently where we want to stop, but we don't know if we went far enough yet. But I wasn't going to say that. What I was going to say was Anton. One thing I love about Anton, I don't watch a lot of his stuff, but one thing I really appreciate about him, he does a really good job of doing this, is he always comes across like he's above whatever the conversation is, above the fray. You don't see him get riled up too much unless it's more like a righteous indignation type of deal. And that's a real skill that he's able to do that. It always keeps him in a regal position, almost, like some kind of deified position. He's just levitating above everybody else. And that's a real talent. And I don't mean that and he's doing it in a
So
kind
what
of
you saying is the black man is God.
Precious.
Put up your third eye, brother. Hey, while we're on the topic of the black man being God, can we stop walking around calling ourselves kings?
No. Look at me, king.
Oh my God.
I mean, we don't even. We're so Americanized. We despise monarchies. We would hate a monarchy, and yet we walk around calling each other kings. It doesn't make any sense. A king can take your wife from you.
Uplift the people, my brother.
And how monarchies work, very few. That's why it's a failed system, and that's why we're in the system we're in now, because there's not as much wealth in a monarchy. There's not as much power being spread around in a monarchy. People don't have ownership. The king owns everything. And obviously there's different types of monarchies and blah, blah, blah. I get it, all you internet people out there. But you get the general idea of what I'm saying. Think about that. It's a vacuous compliment in nomenclature. You don't want to be titled that way. And I digress.
I don't know. Great Britain's a constitutional monarchy. It's been around for a while.
They don't have any power though. They're just keeping up tradition.
Yeah, they
but they still have to pay on.
They don't have no power.
Yeah,
what are you talking about? They don't have no power.
Let me say it this way: they still have a Congress. They still have
the most influence in the world.
Say again.
You just said white people have the most influence in the world. The bulk of that gotta be Britain.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that. I'm saying what the naysayers. Yeah, but
I haven't heard anybody say they respect Britain as far as a world power in a long time. I hear, of course, America, China, India's on the come up. They're like the same population as China now at this point.
Yeah, but I'm referring to the king and queen. For one, it was just the queen. She just passed recently, but I'm saying they didn't have that type of power to influence what the nation, what direction they should go. They had a democratic society. So I was talking about the monarchy. They were just keeping up with the tradition.
To turn my back on the people.
Oh God, what's up, bro?
I mean, I'm just leaving right there. We don't got to stick on.
And I know you looking at it from a system perspective, right?
Who you talking about turning your back on?
It's people that have held me down that don't look nothing like me.
That's fine, but Anton, do you understand what a white savior complex is?
No, that's not what this is, though.
Okay,
tell me what it is. I want to know.
Black people need to stop getting flattered when white people do things for them, because white people have an inferiority complex for us in general. The minute a white man comes in contact with you, the black man is always superior. We're talking about genetically, just at his core. So white people
pause
have a
real quick?
complex called. You saw the lady where
Because I want the rest of me to really let her cook. But I want to say this. The one thing that we do, and this is why it goes back to what I was saying about the therapy stuff. Whenever you're dealing with somebody, and this doesn't do it necessarily saying she's not that intelligent, but people look for the closest association to whatever they think you're doing. He didn't say anything related to a white savior complex, but the closest thing she can think that would be derogatory in the meaning or have a negative, be a negative on his mindset is that. So she threw that out there.
And keep in mind, he asked her to define what that was, and she hasn't. She's not going to.
Yeah, and then I would say, this is what I do with people to help them out and to help the audience out is say, what have I said so far that would lead you to believe that I have a white savior complex? So they have to quote me first, and then they have to make the link. And when you put that on people's hands, they tend to drop it. It's just like water. It's just going to go out right out of their hands because it's a weak correlation, if there's any correlation possible on that. And white savior mentality definitely exists, that's for sure. But what he hasn't even attempted to speak to anything of that nature. And so
praise white Jesus.
Yeah. And so when she's doing that, it just shows the reach that she's willing to go in order to minimize and and undervalue his contribution to the conversation. She's not even asking him to explain himself. He's not saying what she wants to hear. So she's throwing different assumptions. She's throwing things at the wall and seeing what sticks. Again, this doesn't mean she's not right. It just means that she's horrible at assessing things when it comes to race because she's already been compromised with her biases.
So far, she's also proven to be incapable of actually landing her points. She's just saying things.
Yeah, she just
hasn't offered evidence of anything that any of her claims at all.
And then what she said so far about black people got to stop. And again, I don't want to nitpick her words in the sense of I'm going to nitpick her words, obviously, but I don't want to nitpick her words in the sense of taking her out of its context.
He don't want to, but he's going to do it.
Well, the thing is, because of this,
okay,
I don't want to take her out of context. And I know that sometimes when you're having a very casual conversations, you don't get to get all the nuances of what you mean by what you're saying. I get that. So when she says black people got to stop, complimenting her, I don't remember the word she used was an A word, I think it was, but it was just saying that when white people do things for blacks, don't think so highly of it, don't esteem it as much as you do. That goes against how we're raised. We're raised, and we're taught from the Bible specifically to help people, to adore people, to appreciate people who do things to help you, especially when they don't have to do it. And so we're saying, with this group of people right here, you don't do that. Now, maybe she doesn't mean that. Maybe she means that people just esteem white contributions to your overall well-being too highly. But is she going to provide? Yeah, is she going to provide some kind of rubric so people can determine that, or is she going to leave it out there? That'd be very haphazard and irresponsible to leave it out there without actually providing some type of measurement for that. Like, how much praise is enough for somebody who's good for me? Lil Wayne brings up the white guy who saved his life all the time.
White cop at that.
Yeah,
white cop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he brings him up all the time.
She's saying treat people differently based on their skin color.
Yeah,
exactly what she just said right now.
She was trying to get embryos, and it was like two white people have a complex called. You saw the lady where she was trying to get embryos, and it was like two black embryos, and the white couple.
No, you got to
wanted to save the black. It was a white couple, and it was two black embryos that had been sitting there, and the white people were like, "We'll take it." White people feel like by helping us or saving us,
two white embryos that have been sitting there. People
they'll disguise things they do for
why
us.
Can't they just?
He said two black or white embryos that have been sitting there. It's funny how we characterize things. You're gonna sit up there and say, Like we just everything's sitting there, like because that does paint a certain picture. The imagery of that, just sitting there, like it's something like it's minding its own business, and then these people come over here and disturb it. That's how she
lazy
painted the
boy.
picture with that. So
them black embryos
sitting
was
on
just
the
sitting there
couch.
waiting for a good, strong black woman to come get them.
On the
And here come
reclining
these white
chair.
people getting
that
it
embryo
first. They
was
gotta
sitting
have
there minding
everything
his
first.
business.
That's wild.
That had been sitting there, and the white people were like, "We'll take it." White people feel like by helping us or saving us, it makes them more powerful than us. So they'll disguise things they do for
But why
us.
can't they just genuinely want? Why can't there be
Can you
people
pause
on
it
an
real quick?
individual level?
Because there's
If that's true, does that mean that they're gonna help us all the way to the top until we're like as powerful as them? I mean, like, how does that work? Now we understand in the world that helping people helps yourself. That's how societies evolved to have, from an evolutionary biology standpoint. Not that I hold to all the different tenets of it, but the idea is that you have to have a certain level of altruism and reciprocity in your society for it to thrive. People feel safe to have children and families and things of that nature. You need to have a certain amount of this. We know people got to help people to go along to get along, right? But how much help should we accept in that case? How is that going to affect our political aspirations?
None.
Dr. Claude, Powernomics. I mean, are we going to take the white man's money? Are we going to work the white man's jobs? Or it's better to just be homeless? I'm not taking no money from anybody.
Homeless, obviously.
I just wish that he would ask, and obviously he probably seems like he has a relationship with her, so he doesn't want to make her look bad on camera. But I would like to have her walk through her theories, and we can see how well thought out they are, how vetted they've been. I would like to add one question I tell the audience, all the time, and I tell people that are around me all the time is a good question I always ask somebody is, what's the best counter argument you've heard? For most people, that floors them. They let you know they are a biased individual. They live in an echo chamber and have no windows.
People that genuinely want the best for you.
Because there's no such thing as equality between us. This is why white people have to have a system to keep us at a certain distance. Because when we talk about our ability, like physically, mentally, we'll surpass them every time. So they have to keep this gap.
So it's
never that they're just genuinely, they're doing that because they're ahead of you and going to be able to stay ahead of you in certain ways.
I don't believe so.
Okay, it's a white savior. White people do things for black people because they want to feel
But it's not just white
powerful.
people, right? It's
anybody non-black.
The majority of people. If you look at households, right, the average household income, based off of race and demographic, white people aren't too far ahead of black people, and those aren't even the people that are making the.
Well, they're
majority
more
of money.
far ahead in their humanity. You understand that? They have more human rights. For going back to the example we talk about when you got attacked, you could not even defend yourself. You could not even defend yourself because you knew that even if you would have been within your right to defend yourself as not only as a human but as a man, your black ass would have still got locked up.
Well, you don't know
all
what
the
happened
police,
to him though.
It doesn't matter.
Oh, it matters.
What matter? I know he got served that food, which was disgusting. I couldn't believe they actually.
That's
served
irrelevant.
Him. It's relevant.
No, because you don't know what happened on the back end. No, I did.
As a man, you couldn't because you knew they were gonna lock your black ass up.
This is the thing.
Even though you went there, right?
The way that he operated.
Hold on, real quick. Can you pause it?
People don't understand.
This is the problem with talking to people like this, and this is not just her. This is a lot of people, especially people who look like us. He at no point in time said he didn't feel like he could have defended himself. He actually said multiple times he made the choice not to because he's focused on the outcome. She's refusing. She's literally refusing to listen to someone who was there, involved in the situation because of her preconceived opinions and perspective. And she's arguing with him about a situation that he was in based on how she feels, which is crazy. She hasn't offered any way to substantiate her claims. This is all feelings and emotion. She said you couldn't even defend yourself as a man.
Well,
he's saying I just chose not to. I didn't even feel attacked.
That's why the purpose of this show is help people with critical thinking. I apologize, I'm talking so fast and slurring a little bit, probably. I'm talking fast, but the reality is the purpose of the show is to help people understand how to ask questions better. They get to ask better questions in this situation to help with this scenario because he could help walk her through it. I would ask her like, hey, what's your test of falsifiability? How are you testing your theory here? And if she can't provide that, then I'm going to say, well, then how confident can you be in your conclusions? You haven't even really done the work yet. You have your hypothesis out here, but you haven't even started beginning to test it. And you have to state your test of falsifiability. You got to state your hypothesis and how you intend to test it so that we can all do the same experiment. We should all be to do the same experiment you're doing. And so that's why I say with these conversations, I just want to elevate the level of not intelligence, and people out there, I'm not equivocating intelligence and critical thinking skills or ability to think critically and utilize critical thinking tools. That's a science. That's something you have to actually go and learn, reading a book, watch YouTube videos, and enhance your ability in that area, because regardless of your IQ, you can improve in that area to varying degrees. And I think that even smart people that I've encountered, especially in the minority communities, but it's definitely widespread. You see it in all the universities in the Ivy League, people's critical thinking skills on the decline. But in this situation, people are not trained to know how to ask the right questions. You know, there's a quote that I say all the time: judge a man by his questions rather than his answers. And the reality of it is, in this situation, Anton's probably, taking it easy on her because it looks like he has some kind of connection to her. But even in taking it easy on somebody, there's still questions you can ask them for them to fill out or elucidate on what they believe, so that we can all see it too. Because as somebody who's dwelling in integrity, if I'm talking to freshly Enos and I believe something, I want to show them my justification so they can evaluate it as well. Hey, look at it. Did I miss something? So there's my conclusion, whatever I believe. I believe, this. Okay, how'd you come to that belief? Okay, this is how. How'd you test to see if it was actually accurate? This is how. I give it all to them. They look at it. They don't just look at my conclusion. They look at the whole process. What did he do here? You left a variable out. This variable could be affecting this particular thing. Oh, snap, you're right. That might affect this thing right here. So I got to go and account for that. So, and obviously I know this is not sounding like casual conversation. This is not sounding like something everybody's going to want to do. But it's not that difficult once you get accustomed to it. And critical thinking skills help you in every aspect of life. You're less likely to be beguiled by people that look good, smell, good, and they also sound good. It's going to help you in so many ways. You can go ahead.
Is that the reason why we get locked up a lot of times is because we react emotionally and we're not thinkers. We react emotionally. Hear me out here. We react emotionally.
Let me put my disclaimer. I am not involved in this part of the conversation.
No,
I'm not saying
think
this.
about it. Think about
That's
it.
him.
Think about it. We react emotionally and we're not thinkers. So
why we react emotionally?
The entire
Can
time.
we pause that right there?
Because we have.
So this is the thing about what Anton's doing. This might make, and again, Anton's way better at internet success and YouTube success than I am. Probably a lot of the successes than I am. So this is not anything to deride his abilities, because I'm sure they far exceed mine in a lot of ways. But even here, he makes a statement and about us as a community or as a culture. I doubt he's talking genetically. Maybe he could be, but culturally, or just to state the fact that we are an emotional people, right? And that's probably, I'm assuming, a nice way of saying maybe what he really thinks, but perhaps not. But the thing is, she doesn't like that idea. And so, but instead of saying, why do you say that to him, so she can get a better understanding, maybe come to get on the same page, she just goes to having him explain an example or whatever. I forgot what they just did right there. But my point is just saying, why not ask them to fill in the blank? If you don't agree, why? Why do you say that? And a little bit on the topic about, I just remember the topic was. Topic was about, Black people being a little bit more emotional.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is that most people would acknowledge that Middle Eastern people tend to be a lot more stoic, a lot more, and also Asian people tend to be considered more stoic. And maybe not every single group of Asians, but they're considered to be more stoic.
Mm-hmm.
Part of, Asian comedians play on that in their comedy. They talk about the way they talk about their parents and stuff like that. I've seen many white people say that they like being around Black people because Black people are funny. I know a lot of people that say that. When I ask a lot of white people who their favorite comedians are, they typically name Black comedians. Now, maybe they name Black comedians because I'm Black. They don't know that I got my white top 5 list. I got my Black top 5 list. I know Freshly, he's one of the few guys that he be on his stuff. He knows all kind of different cultural stuff from all different groups. And I'm similar.
Yep.
And so I can appreciate both, but there are cultural differences there. And we have to acknowledge that we have within our continent, within your state, and then on the wider scale of the world. that there's going to be cultural distinctions. From a biblical standpoint, we need not be afraid of that. I think that's in some way unloving. It's not or prejudging. You see Paul say, hey, the Cretans are lazy, gluttonous people, therefore rebuke them sharply. So he referred to the Cretans as lazy and gluttonous. Does that mean that every single Cretan was lazy and gluttonous? But it's just saying culturally, this is something that they have that's significant, has a significant stronghold on them. Therefore, they're going to need this in order to, navigate life in light of that. Nothing wrong with that. There's cultures, there's subcultures. We know that youthful culture, young people's culture is different than old people's culture. And so we've got to be honest. So she's going to take issue with saying that we're more emotional, we're culturally more emotional. Then she needs to state why. I would love to know why she didn't like that. Is it some kind of study she's doing? Is some kind of experience or something that has whatever she has? Obviously, anecdotal is not going to be as valid as some kind of study or some whether it's scientific or mathematical, whatever it is, or surveys and stuff like that. But that's the kind of conversations, even if they don't have it on the show, because this is more for entertainment, I guess. You should be asking that in your head when you're watching these types of things. How would they be to substantiate that? You don't think, oh, they agree with what I'm saying, so yeah, that's true. My person's winning, my person's losing. But you want to go like, okay, is your point winning? Is your point losing? And if my point is losing, why am I with the loser? I need to separate myself from it.
Things that are passed down.
PTSD.
No, because most of us that exist today have never truly went through anything race related. Most people that are existing in 2022. Okay, so let me break this down. No.
Are you trolling me?
No, I'm serious. Hear me out. Hear me out, Six. Think about it.
I feel like you just trolling
people that existed before us, right? Ancestors, great grandparents, and all of those type of people, right? The things that they went through in order to become successful. It's interesting because they were incredibly more successful at keeping their households together, becoming professionals, so on and so forth, generating wealth, and even building their own communities. And they experienced true racism, so much so to where they had to be systematically destroyed.
I see the problem. You think racism is like, I'm hanging you from a tree, nigger.
No,
that's what
no.
you think. You don't. Okay,
when you say
I see the problem.
when you say systematically,
you think
I
racism
understand.
is very overt.
No. I know what you're saying when you're saying systematically, right?
No, you don't.
I do understand what you're saying. But my
point
point is that even let's bring it.
So again, people like her, right, wrong, or indifferent, again, because their dwelling is an echo chamber with no windows, when she tries to figure out why he's saying what she's saying, it's so otherworldly to her that her diagnosis is so far off. It's just extremely off. There is no direct connection. What he said, he didn't say anything that would indicate that he thinks that racism is only, I hate you, we're hanging him up on a tree, anything like that. Nothing he said was that. He was just saying that at that time, all the racism that she believes they have now, they had that plus more. You see what I'm saying? And he's saying, so it was worse then because they had all the power over the world and the universe that they have now, according to what they believe. Plus, they can just literally own you. They could take your wife when they felt like it. Now it's illegal to take your wife now. But so my point is just saying that that's what his point was. And she said, oh, you just think it's this, which is a straw man of his position. It's a straw man of his position. And so, again, I want the audience to see out there when we're evaluating these types of things, listen to what's going on. Now, I would have rather Eton say, okay, what did I say that made you think that? You don't have to be rude about it. I just want to know, what am I saying? So they can, you got to do that because then they have to say what you said and then say the connection. You got to be careful. So audience out there, don't say stuff like, why do you say that? And because they'll be like, oh, it just seems like you're saying, or, they're going to go to their feelings. But the thing is, if they have to say what you said first and then say it connected somewhere else, it's going to make them look dumb if they're being disingenuous. Is that what freshly, and is that fair to say, like asking it specifically that way?
Well, yeah, you can ask him any question right now because he hasn't asked her any question. They're both just saying their thing. Like he hasn't challenged anything that she's saying, and I imagine it would drive the conversation into a place that's not as entertaining. So hopefully he's doing it on purpose. But if not, they're just right now they're arguing. it doesn't look like it, but they're arguing. Neither one of them is asking the other why they said what they said, what they mean. You know, can you prove those claims or substantiate those claims? They're just talking back and forth.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think when I'm listening to Anton, it's just that I guess when you get accused of those kind of things, you want to explain yourself like he's being misunderstood. That's what it sounds like to me.
It sounds like that to me as well. But the thing is that if you want to hit a moving, you don't want to hit a moving, you don't want to be aiming at a moving target.
Yeah.
So you have to ask the question to get her to finally be grounded. What do you mean by that? What am I saying that lends itself to that? And then once they do that, now they're committed to a certain thing. And now you can actually get the understanding going.
Right. Well, once she has to, you know, substantiate her claims with any of these questions that Vulcan is presented, that plus, you know, maybe 10 more questions that he can ask, she would be required to say, hey, here's why I think this.
Mm-hmm.
She would have to be able to pull it from a source outside of her opinion. And that's where the falsifiability comes in handy. It's like, hey, is this just what you think about me? Because obviously your scope of influence and your bubble of experience as an individual is so small compared to the general public that it can't be utilized in this way as basically fact or law or science. Like, hey, this is what I think. That's just what you think about him. It's not even accurate. It's weird that she's telling him what he thinks while he's right there.
Yeah.
Back up to the incident that happened supposedly with me with the white guy that was at the shop, right?
Attack you.
He didn't attack me, but here's the thing.
You.
The thing that people, and when I looked at the comments and I was looking at the reactions and stuff like that, right? Everybody was reacting the same way that they would normally react is, yo, you should have knocked his head off, or if he even came touch, you know, if he was in your space, you could have defended yourself, so on and so forth. And I was thinking to myself, well, why would I react like that when that's exactly what people would want me to do if they were looking for me to get in trouble? They want me to put my bag on the line. They want me to go viral by doing something crazy. They want me to knock his head off, so on and so forth. But that's not the way in which you deal with confrontation. You got to think through that stuff, right? I can't do anything if I have to get bailed out in the morning and I got to sit in jail for the next 3 days.
Why would you sit in jail when you're on camera telling the man to get away from you and back away from you? And this is during COVID, and he get this close in your face.
But the point
you
is
are within
that
your right to remove that person out. I'm not saying you had to knock him.
Shout out to the wise philosopher Freshly Snipes, because again, this seems to be the same thing. She's coming across as very pro-black, right? But I'm wondering, is she for us or just against them? The guy just said, I don't want to be tricked out of my position. She's saying, no, you should have crashed out because it was a racial issue.
But also, she's contradicting her own statements. Earlier, she said, you couldn't even defend yourself because you know that if you would have put a finger on him, your black ass would have been in jail. But right here, she's telling him, why would you end up in jail when you had all the right? She's contradicting herself.
Yeah,
it's crazy that she's just doing this.
Yeah, that's
the bear said she's the type of man that wants her to crash. That she's the type that wants her man to crash out when she gets mad.
Yeah,
and end up in jail so she can say, "My man defended me." Now he got a record.
And they're going to the next man.
Exactly.
And the thing is, and now because she now that the last dude got locked up for, she's more like, I want me a different kind of guy now.
I was young. I don't like them kind of guys no more.
That dude's locked up, writing letters and stuff like that.
I'm saying? She gonna bail him out with his own money and then clown him for being broke when he can't do something that she wanted him to do because he had to spend $15,000 to get out of jail.
Yeah,
because she ain't know how to be quiet. Crazy.
Job, crazy. Assault record, can't get a job because that assault will follow people. I've seen it 3 times, and then she can't get jobs. First she might have like 6 months for him. After that, it's gonna be like, well, I think we're growing apart. Like,
I think we're becoming different people.
Yeah, we're becoming different people. And it's that bread is dried up.
So that's, if you would have laid a finger on him like
you better slide for your ego and mine.
Yeah, facts.
That's a good one.
So now you acting, because I like how you put that your ego too, because he probably don't even have an ego, but he got to pretend to have one just to please her. He can't just crash out. He's gonna actually say all the stuff that she would want him to say before and after he crashes out.
Even while she's saying something like, "You knew you would have been in jail if you'd have laid a finger on him." So basically, you want me to go to jail? Cool. I got you.
Far within your right to remove that person out. I'm not saying you had to knock him out, but
So that's
if you would have laid a finger on him like this, your ass would have been in jail. Even though it was.
But my point is that I'm more powerful when I'm thinking through the scenario, because the thing that I'm focused on is that the results. I'm not focused on the current situation. And I think that we as people often focus on how we need to react to the current situation instead of being proactive with what it is that we're doing in order to get to the results that we got to.
I think we're good.
He had no bearing. He had no impact or influence or anything on what it is that I was going to be doing the minute that he got out of my presence.
Did he go to jail? Did he get arrested for stalking and harassing and attacking you?
Maybe.
Absolutely not.
Maybe.
No, he did not go to jail. He didn't.
I also want to say this, when he said we're an emotional people, and I've said it too. The reality is, I think when we say that, it's typically more so we don't want to say what it really is. We're very irrational people, because if the emotion was charity, nobody would think, oh, there's some very emotional people over there. We'd just be, oh, they're loving people over there. But emotion people is a euphemism for something else that we hate worse.
Soft
to hear.
SOF capital T.
You know, and again, but I irrational, I don't mean less intelligent. I mean, what I mean by irrational, I mean is not holding to the laws of logic, thinking that you're thinking because you feel very strongly, it's okay to violate rules. I'd almost want to say it's more like a lawless, intellectual lawlessness or unfairness that takes place where you can violate rules. You can special pleadings like she's doing, where she's saying, okay, yeah, you should, help people or like people who do good things for you, but not them. You see what I'm saying? It's like a special pleading because of this overriding philosophy that she has, where she can violate certain things we know are right. You should, if I'm growing up and I'm a white person does something for me, or an Asian or a black person, I'm supposed to say thank you. That's how I was raised. But so she would say, if they're white, don't say thank you, based off how she worded it. But maybe she means don't don't take them out to eat and show a lot of gratitude for it. So but either way, that goes against how we were raised to be. So that's what I'm saying with these people like this, with the lack of critical thinking. When we hear that, we got to understand is this principle the big umbrella, and then the principle we grew up with the little umbrella, or is our principle we grew up with a bigger umbrella, and then what she's saying is the little umbrella? Because she's claiming something supersedes that. What I'm referring to, helping, a white person helps you having gratitude for that.
That's the
maybe.
No, we did not.
I'm telling you,
say if he did he? No.
I think
I don't believe that he went to jail, but I do believe that he was affected financially.
Oh, that was it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he looks different right there in the middle.
Yeah,
got the glasses on.
Put the glasses back on.
So you prefer your man with glasses on, Vulcan?
It's none of your business. Pause. But yeah, everybody out there, we got another video, so we out.
I think
this is the last one, right? Or that was the last one?
Yeah. So. We didn't go through comments on any of these. We probably could have did some of the comments though. Even though we did, we don't go to another thing. I wouldn't mind.
We looked at most of the comments.
No, I meant on the videos.
Yeah, that would have been cool. Ooh, that would have been.
Ooh, that'd have been good. You get a little too excited.
Because you
would
have got more people agreeing with her. I would believe. But I think that that's it.
Well, but we expect that, don't we? I expect more people to be to agree.
You expect people to disagree with what we saying, or what?
Absolutely.
What people people?
But what I also expect is that they won't be able to prove it. They won't be able to substantiate it. They're just gonna be like, I don't agree. Then they'll throw a chair, start a riot. I'm mad.
Can y'all read them? We can go over like a few comments before we close
Absolutely
out.
not.
Let's go ahead.
It's very small.
I got 10 minutes. So
All right, let's
are you seeing any you that you think are good, Enos? Or are you expecting us to read them?
expecting. Hold on.
Oh, I didn't have no idea. I wouldn't even tell. I didn't know you were expecting us to read them.
Yes, I read
Even
before
if
you
you are,
say.
you're gonna have to zoom in.
Hey, I just read one of them.
You
It
can't.
says,
That's
while I'm trying to
pleasure.
make the screen bigger, she says she is so sharp. She's she can so clearly see. Call the BS and his cowardice. That's wild, man.
Crazy.
Man. Damn.
This
I
is the
can
burden
see
of the thinking man, though.
You said that's the burden.
That's the
Well,
burden
she
of the
is
thinking
sharp.
man.
You wouldn't. I see the sharp part, but she's not sharp.
Well, I'm not saying she's sharp. She's not
Yeah.
sharp, but I don't know what good is doing her in this. I'll put it to you like this. I don't think she's dumb, or I think I can see she's very sharp. I just don't think it's on display in this particular video.
Trying to write the screen. And when you touch this, I ain't gonna be able to do this MacBook. Yeah, I can. Yeah, we can close it out, fellas.
All right, sounds good, big dog.
All right, you can start it off.
Me?
Yes, sir. Oh, well, I was talking about freshman. I was off the screen. He said me.
Yeah, that's great show. Hope y'all learned something. I'm not gonna say it again.
Sure. I hope not. All right. I'll go ahead. Thanks for tuning in. Tune in to the Vulcan Soapbox. This is what we do here. I think it was a good commentary because a lot of stuff you're seeing in our culture, most of what I hear from experience, most people are sounding like 6 Foot the Goddess, and a lot of times the guys or the people that sound like Anton is just, it's usually usually outcasts in our community. Yeah, so thank you for tuning in.
Hey,
Listen, guys, appreciate y'all for coming on the show. Again, like Vulcan said, hope you guys learned something. Just know next time, anytime you see Vulcan with the shirt this tight, just know he's gonna be on BS from the get-go. All right, the tighter the shirt, the more on Demon Time Vulcan is gonna be. All right, that's just free game for the future, man. We hope y'all come back. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Vulcan Soapbox. Meow.
I'm here to stay on my soapbox and proclaim that to the world.
On this show.
This is the hottest show on the planet right now.
What's the debate? Ain't no debate.